the finish line. Check the radio, pit crew is far from slow. The lights no longer yellow. Ready, steady, go. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 In love with the ride. Burning rubber smells real nice. Fuel it up once or twice. Come on, fast is the way to drive. Crowds all on their feet, not one bothered by the heat. Imagine them in the driver's seat. Checkered flag would be sweet. Crank it up. Oh, it's racing. 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 Everybody get ready. On your feet. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Crank it up.
As they come screeching down in your living room through the track of the tricky triangle, Pocono Raceway, we are in your humble arms, in your humblest shots. We are blessed and glad to be here, and we are welcoming you, race fans, here on our YouTube and Facebook stream of BTM Race TV to the live coverage here of the Pit Stall Summer Series live at Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Hi again, everyone. I am the Crusader Christian Schreiber, joining you guys here today as we're getting ready for the action to kick off. We're getting ready for all the mayhem and chaos that comes with running a track like this. Only one thing is for sure is that nothing is for sure around these parts. This track is without a shadow of a doubt one of the toughest tracks these drivers will face all season round, and it will definitely be one of the tracks that makes for a great antithesis of just battling back and forth while also trying to control their narratives, try to control their speeds with a huge 2.5 mile long track they must endure. And speaking of that, it's time to take a look at your track tech talk here. We're really going here, presented in part by Fort Worth Screen Printing here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. If you literally haven't heard the name, it's literally called the Tricky Triangle. There are 3 corners and no turn 4. You got 3 corners to figure out, each designed in a different state and different fashion from 3 different tracks all across the United States, from Nazareth to Indianapolis. This is one of the toughest facilities to master. It is one of the toughest places to get down and dialed in. And the one thing you'll notice a lot of here on the show is a lot of drivers trying to find a way to get around 2 of the major turns and then hit up the final third turn as clear cut as they get. But nobody can master the level of Pocono Raceway. This track is down and determined to test all drivers who dare come its wake. Well, race fans, right now as we get settled to go here on the show, it's time to listen in with some of our guys and some of our drivers here. Let's start them off here with our field in the number 54. He is Christopher Tate, now joining us on the line here. Christopher, you got a copy down there, buddy?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing pretty good here. Didn't mean to interrupt your little race here with the boys down there, but I just thought we just got to give you guys an idea of what you're feeling down here in this 54 and how tough this 3-corner track is doing for you guys.
I think it's all pretty much going to come down to like tire conservation. In the corners, it's pretty tight, so you got to really watch out with the exit of the corners. But this race is going to be very, very, very draft dependent. So that's really all it's going to take is just manage your draft, manage your tires, and just time out your runs to make the passes.
Do you think some of these guys are going to try to make a slingshot around the leaders here out of the early gates, or do you think it'll be kind of a time or two where they start to make the pass for the lead?
I think the restarts are going to be very hectic. The outside line is very, very good on restarts, so there will be plenty of passing opportunities out there. But once you're in the green, it's so like even, and if you don't get a good run, then you're just either going to get passed or you're just not going to make up time. But I think it's possible, but we'll just kind of see what happens.
We'll have to see indeed. Tate, thanks for your time here today. Best of luck to you and the 54 team. Christopher Tate, ladies and gentlemen, on the call there, getting ready for his race up on the field and up onto the track here. We'll listen in down with the Dead Parrot Fort Worth screening printing number 66. John Garrett now joins us here on his live Twitch channel here of John Garrett there. And John, right now, currently, as you get settled down here on this Dead Parrot Fort Worth screen printing 66 Silverado, it seems though you're kind of in the mid-pack range of the top tier of the top 10, but there is still looking like a little bit of room for improvement. Is that just kind of something you're hanging around trying to avoid, show these guys early on for qualifying?
Oh, I'm struggling a little bit. I finally found a little bit of speed. I was stuck down in the fours for some. Then I finally made a good lap. But I really hadn't had a good draft lap either on fresh tires. So we'll see. I should be competitive. Some of these guys are pretty good though.
Some of them are pretty good indeed, but I mean, you can't really sell yourself short either. You've had multiple top 10, top 5 finishes throughout this season so far. I mean, what will it take here in your mind to get another one of them today?
Oh, just staying out of the mess and conserving tires and being there at the end. I mean, I ran this track in real life. You'd think I'd be the ace here, right?
Well, I mean, depending how you look at it, I mean, iRacing is a little bit different to the actual real world, but not by much in my opinion. But, I mean, hey, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, it helped when I went there for real. It's similar, but still, it's not the same. I can tell you, coming out of turn 3, the wall sneaks up on you in iRacing, and it does too in real life. I almost caught it myself in practice.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless, though, as you get ready to go out of here, our best wishes and luck to you and the crew. We'll see what happens down here on the track.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Garrett here, representing for the 66 camp, and we'll see how he does throughout this race today. Well, we'll take a listen in down right now with the guy that we call the mad scientist around here. He pilots the Big 24. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Lee joins us now, joining on the show. Tim, right now, currently just above in the top 10 bracket, 9th spot here. This 24 looked like earlier on it was developing some speed in the draft, but the corners seem to be kind of backing you up a little bit. What's going on down there?
Yeah, it's a little strategy. This tricky triangle eats that right front up pretty quick, so we've got 2 additional sets with 80 laps, so trying to do some math on how much to save and whatnot, so it's going to be fun.
And indeed there. Now, I'll say as well, we've heard everyone talk about the tires, how much they get eaten, but really, is there a specific area in the track or in the turns that get this truck a little bit worse for wear, or it ends up being more trouble than it's worth?
I think 1, just because it's a little pushy. 3, you really got to back them up, and it gets really pushy. 2 is not so bad. It's pretty fast. It's pretty fast when you don't have to lay off too much, but definitely 1 and 3 will eat them up.
Absolutely. All right, Tim. Well, we appreciate your time here, sir. Our best wishes of luck down to you in the 24 team.
Thanks, Chris.
Tim Lee, ladies and gentlemen, they're talking over with us right now, trying to get settled up onto the track here. Some of the other guys right now trying to get squared up as well. Looking to build up the power and build up the momentum. One of them just so happens to be the guy that continues to come out here and put on a fight every time he's out on the track. Ladies and gentlemen, Cody Griffin now on the line here in the 03 pit stall camp. And Cody, right now, it seems as though a lot of eyes are on you after all these last couple races, this season so far. But with some new blood and some new talent that came in as well, I mean, how much of an emphasis you think it really kind of put on you to mentally get ready for these races?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big for sure as far as, you know, looking at me along with a few of the other top runners. But, you know, we're about halfway, if not a little bit over halfway in the season at this point. So, you know, it's more about points racing at this point than it is about ego or going after wins or anything like that. I mean, you got to be smart with it. You know, one bad race will cost you a championship, and that's kind of the mindset you got to keep.
For sure there. Now, with that also said, with the points get and everything, I mean, can you get a way around these tracks and get a way around to actually kind of take everything for a good drive or two off the corners, you think?
What do you mean by that? I didn't understand what you meant.
So when you're so the way we've talked with some of these other guys here, they're saying the corners have been burning through the tires and making things a lot more difficult with the way the weight transfers on these trucks. How much do you think that really kind of boils over on a set amount of laps versus maybe just like the first set of laps, you think?
Yeah. I mean, the first few laps, especially like initial restart or something like that, it actually gets a little free. Um, but I think it's a push tight or push loose, you know. So um, first few laps, you're gonna see guys probably getting a little squirrely through one, and then the tunnel turn. And after that, yeah, I agree. It does get tight, and it gets tighter as the run goes on. So I know that last run I made, it was a handful of laps, maybe like 6 or so, maybe more than that. But my right front and my whole right sides were they were wearing pretty good, so it's definitely going to be tire management.
For sure there. All right, well, Cody, nevertheless, best wishes and luck to you and the team here. We're about ready to enter qualifying, so let's see what happens down here on the Tricky Triangle.
Thank y'all.
Cody Griffin, ladies and gentlemen, 0-3, now getting set to go for the action at hand here, as we are just now approaching the start of our racing action here on PTM Racing TV. Race fans, thanks so much for tuning on in here and getting showed around. Again, share the stream around on our Facebook, on our YouTube. You guys choose, you decide. We've got them both up and running, as you've always asked us to do. Well, we finally got it figured out, and we are now live on both YouTube and Facebook from here on out. So, with that in mind now, race fans here, presented by Fort Worth Screen Printing, the best place to get your designed up tees and designs for your shirts, merchandise, and all that, as well as supporting up for the Twitch channel, John T. Garrett. Be sure to visit him up and follow him on John T. Garrett Twitch channel. Big thank you to him and his team there for allowing us to come on board and helping out with the Pistol Summer Series tonight. The qualifying has now begun. 10 minutes on the clock. Let's get to it. The EMF Racing Design 17 Ford F-150 will bring Derek Paulson to the start here out of the gate. We'll see what line and lap he can lay down on the track to start it out today. 17 drivers have made the call, and they have made the urge to make to the track and make to the runs. There are 3 corners here to look out for. The deep banked end of turn number 1, the tunnel turn that is shaped in the course of Indy style, Indianapolis Motor Speedway's turn 2, and the flat banked, hard knocks, very tight, tough to master turn of turn 3, the Milwaukee Mile turn. That is where you're going to see a lot of absolute heavy hitters and heavy controlling spots in that run and in that field. And a lot of guys are going to be either trying to dish out the speed in the truck, or they're going to be dishing out a little bit more to the wall, because this is not the place to get loose or get squirrely, and they know it too. This is a bit of an endurance race as well, as we may add. This is not one of those side-by-side, all-day, every-day kind of races. This is more of an endurance type of fanatic race. This is going to really test guys and push them to their absolute limits, as you get a great look at our track here. The Tricky Triangle itself and all of its tri-oval design. First lap has been laid down for Derek Paulson at a 54.13. Coming right around his way, though, Tim Williams will bring the 45 in. Dustin Franklin sets his time, and it's a 54.50. Franklin will be the second fastest so far. Let's see what Tim can bring to the table. The 45 BK Paints Racing Machine 45 Silverado laying down his clock time stamped in as the second seed, 54.17. Second fastest tied down below of Derek Paulson. Probably not the time he was hoping for, the time he was expecting or really going for, but he'll have to work with it. Tim Lee right now has set a time of 54.64. We'll see if he can get a little bit more speed on the track, a little more drive off. Here comes the guy, though, I think a lot of folks are a little bit nervous to be around, as much as they're nervous to try to find a way to take down the old rattlesnake in his playground, Robert Kahn. He lives here in Pennsylvania. This is his track. This is his style of racing. He loves the endurance and the level of fatigue that it brings to one driver's mindset. Looking to see if he can keep it going here on his homeland. Chantel Bottle, the number 5 lighting wraps as well, coming in here. Has a little bit of some new tech and new equipment, I was told, inside of that truck today. So she's been trying to dial in the bugs and dial up some speed. She says that hopefully will help out with her runs and her drive to survive. We'll certainly have to see here, but so far everything looking pretty good out of the gate. First lap going to be laid down here for the Rattlesnake Robert Kahn. Remember, they only get 1 lap to actually get that qualifying time in, so that will definitely make things a little bit more difficult, a little more trickier to get as much speed and much potential. Khan driving this thing straight to the ground, off to the checker flag starting line. His time is a 54.07. He will lay down the fastest time by about 600ths of a second. Khan lays down a barn burner time and a great drive off. Bottles time 54.83, and Michael Taylor actually just came out on the track and put up a lap. The Flex Seal 98 lays down a blistering 54.27. And that first lap's going to be really the only lap they're going to get that's going to give them that speed and that kind of endurance. And Michael Taylor knew that, so he laid it in thick. He laid it in fast. Christopher Tate has not gone back onto the track here. It looks like he has stopped on the dime here, maybe having some mechanical issues for the moment. Here comes the SP Designs. Monster Energy Java Juice, number 6. This is Todd Poston. Ken 10 saying, where's turn 4? Ken 10, I think our friend down there said, what turn 4? There is no turn 4 here. 3 turns, my friend. Only 3 turns on this track. If you've ever seen the Pocono Raceway track in action, you're in for a treat. Poston's time, 54.73. Not quite the fastest time or what he was aiming for there. Christopher Tate now going to fire it up here and trying to see what he can bring to the table. Listen in with some of our qualifiers though here. One of them being in the 47 machine here. It is Dustin Franklin now on the line. Dustin, you laid down a pretty decent time there for the starting point, but everyone else kind of jumping ahead of you, getting a 6th fastest. That kind of put a little pressure on you to kind of get through the packs here out of the gate, or you think maybe you'll be able to kind of last them out on the long term?
This ain't my best track, but I'm here to learn for sure. Definitely ran a lot faster in practice. Just got it tight there during qualifying. So hopefully I can learn from everybody and run up front, and I'll be talking to you at the end of the day.
Well, there is quite a few laps that you have to go through and kind of have to work around here, and we've known before tire strategy and fuel strategy can make the difference on this playground, but a lot of drivers have stated as well that if you lose that draft or you lose position on it, that really kind of changes the whole altercation of this race. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. If you're trying to win and you lose that front pack, and we don't have many cautions, it could definitely hurt you. The fuel strategy and tire strategy we'll be having tonight.
For sure there. All right, well, Franklin, we do appreciate your time here today. Best wishes and luck as we get ready to get to it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Dustin Franklin, ladies and gentlemen, the 47, getting his time talked around here. Christopher Tate. Time to set, and look at this, a 54.08. Christopher Tate is right in the clutches of Robert Kahn in that 21, but he's only going to set a time that's 100th a second fast slower than Kahn. And you got to wonder yourself, did Tate know this and knowingly try to fight all he could to get that kind of speed and that extra endurance there? That is a huge time difference and a time gap. He'll have to work around and have to really set in motion. This should be an interesting one as we continue through to our qualifying sessions here. Drivers right now are currently stopped on a dime here for a second, so we'll take a listen down here. One of our other cats that have already finished their qualifying in the 45 Silverado. That is Tim Williams now joining me on the line. Tim, definitely had to make a little bit of a trip down from our brothers and sisters up north down here into the Pennsylvania lands in Long Pond, but I mean, hey, it seems like you're getting kind of adjusted and affiliated out pretty well. 4th fastest. Nicely done there, sir.
Hi, how you doing there? Yeah, I don't know. I kind of screwed up my qualifying. Last week I had a bit of problem with it. Hopefully this week I'm going to do a little bit better.
Do a little bit better, get a little bit more squared up on the track here. And I got to ask you too, my friend. I mean, how difficult do you think that these guys are going to find themselves in when you really just kind of get a little bit into that long run strategy, you think?
I think this race is going to have a lot to do with tire conservation. It's pretty nasty on the front right, so we'll just have to wait and see what plays out. That's all. Hopefully I get up there close enough to the front.
Well, definitely can get it on the starts and get it late in the run if you can find the time and the right time to strike. Well, Tim, best of luck down there to you and the crew, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll see you later.
We'll see you later indeed. Tim Williams, ladies and gentlemen, in the 45, ready to settle it on down and get ready to settle them on the track here. Currently, we are waiting for Poston to get off the track if he decides to. I think he just wanted to park it there for good measures, but we're just about 1 minute away from entering into this race today, race fans, and currently as the field gets squared up and set back into the pace here, definitely will be interesting to see how everyone plays out and how everyone controls their speed and momentum. There's a lot going on. There's a lot at stake, of course. These guys know, and they're very well aware of it. That's why they're going to try their best to get the maximum out of their starts and the maximum of potential of a drive off they can go for. This is a very, very tight end track, and they know it too. That's why they're going to be so focused and so on edge throughout these corners and throughout these turns. They know they cannot give an inch to the other driver. It will cost them dearly, and they know it too. You got to remember for guys like that, Robert Kahn and then John Garrett, who literally have raced on this track or have been this track, and they know this track like the back of their hands. You know, the Pennsylvania boys are definitely going to have a bit of an advantage on that, knowing that the real life experience versus the overall experience of just being on the sim. Because the thing is, mentally, this track absolutely tears up drivers as much as it mentally fries them. And that's what I think they're extremely nervous about, and they're just trying to figure out how to get the best out of the equipment. It should be an interesting race here as we are now set to go. It's time to take a look at the fourth worst screening printing grading order for today's action in Long Pond. Race fans of Pocono, here is your starting lineup. The Pit Stall Summer Series will start with Robert Kahn in the 21 to his outside. Christopher Tate, he pilots the big 54. At row number 2, then it will be piloted by the 17, Derek Paulson to his outsides. The 45, Tim Williams. Row number 3, John Garrett will be in the 66 to his outside. It is the 98, Michael Taylor. In row number 4, we pilot it with Tim Lee in the 24 to his inside. It will be the 47, that is Dustin Franklin. Row number 5 is Chantel, the throttle bottle in the 5 to her outside. The 51/6, that's Todd Poston. And then row number 6, it's going to be the 6 of Eric Blount to his outside. The big 03, Cody Griffin. Row number 7 is Douglas R. Johnson at 388 is outside. The 84, Len McNeese. Row number 8 is Michael E. Campbell in the 292 with his outside. The Nicholas Akier in the 9. And last but not least, in row 9, shotgun on the field, Jeffrey Todd Tubbs, the 72. Race fans in Long Pond and Pocono, you guys wanted to see the race, and you came for a show, you came to the event. Well, you're ready to get to it. We're ready for it too. Live on YouTube and Facebook, the action is now set sailing and now set to go. Your field of drivers, 17 all, is ready to hit up the track and hit the speeds on the floorboard. 80 laps to the distance. This is going to be a show. The drivers are now ready to go here for the 80 lap race at Pocono. The guys and gals here just getting warmed up, get the tires, a little bit of heat in their rubber into the track. They want to try to get the track to grip as much as possible because they're going to need every ounce of that speed to kind of hang through these corners and hang through these turns. But with a track like this, again, you just got to know in the back of your mind, though, how much each turn is going to do to the equipment, to the suspension, to the sides of the trucks, to the tire width, the tire wear. There is so much that can go right and that can go horribly wrong on this kind of section, this kind of sector of racing. And these drivers know it too. Well, race fans, time at last, time has come. We are now set to go here at Pocono. The Pit Stall Summer Series presented by Fort Worth Screen Printing is now set for racing. Off the distance in turn number 3. Yeah, what turn 4? There is no turn 4. Here we go. Off the front straightaway. Let's get down to it. It's time to go racing at Long Pond, Pennsylvania's Pocono Raceway. The fans are on their feet and we're ready for it. Here we go. Mimi Stein saying hi, Jess in the chat. We're coming on board here. Mimi, good to have you on board today. Running them right down on the edges here. We'll fire them off for the first sectors into the first corners. Tate already throwing a little bit of a block there up on the front half. Knows he's got to try to steer clear of giving these guys too much run and too much momentum. The more conservative nature, though, he can keep this truck on play and keep it online. That'll help him out against his war with the rattlesnake. Gone in his Freightliner 21 has been obviously obligated to really take everyone to their limits and take them to their fullest potential, and he does that on a nightly basis, it seems like, when he's out on the track. But Derek Paulson here already trying to make sure that he keeps him right into that rear view mirror and keeps him out of sight and out of mind. Back starting to kind of crowd up a little bit there again. You can see drivers kind of mixing and matching around the place, mixing them all up on the corners. You'll start to see the single file Talladega Daytona draft train kind of file up again with these 550 horsepower packages. You're not going to get a lot of drafting or a lot of harder control and harder speed. A lot of guys and gals will end up trying to actually just stay more in the draft for most of their run, most of their drive, to avoid conflict of interest and avoid issues there on the speedway. Leader right now, Christopher Tates between Len McNeese and the 84, separated out by about 5-second difference there. That is a gap and a half, I tell you. But the good news is for Len McNeese, he still is within range of that draft gap and that draft pack. He just needs to stay in the throttle and a little bit more on the controlled end. But that's right there is certainly not going to help him at all. I thought he might be trying to save a little bit of fuel, trying to maybe get a little bit more out of the tires as well, but that does not seem to be the case. Looks like he might be struggling a little bit. Speaking of struggling already, it looks like Tate might be having some problems dealing with company there up on his end. He's got a problem coming up right to him there. Tim Williams ready to move the chains in and ready to move this one out. Williams right now trying to get the PK Racing Pace machine up into the fight with Tate here. You can see him drafting hard off his 54's back bumper, but he can't get the slingshot to go into the tunnel turn just yet. Has to line up just a little bit more, has to stay patient. If he can stay on that back bumper of Tate, and Tate goes in that wall, he's got room to just swing it to the inside. Tate knows that if he is right where he's at the moment, he's got less room for error. He has to actually defend and block more often than not. The good news is though, is because of that, he's actually able to work around a few of the other corners, a few of the other chances here. A little bit better than maybe the other guys realize here. On board here with the 03 of Cody Griffin right now and the Chevrolet Silverado cam. And a little bit of a dogfight here with Dustin Franklin in the 47. Franklin trying to exert and hang on to the speed, to hang on to the run as they come screaming towards you. Khan falling a few more spots back down, but looks like he might not have too much more to wait here. Coming back to the inside. Looking for Paulson's left rear corner panel, go for the drive off here. The 98 of Michael Taylor also watching closely and watching these two battle it out. Whoa, Michael Taylor there, big overshot into the turn, big overdraft, over accentuated the corner there. He can't make that mistake too often than not. That will cost you more tire than you really can count on. And Tim Williams, by the way, the 45, has taken the race lead away from Christopher Tate. Looked like Tate might have nudged the wall there on one of the corners, costing him the race lead. We'll take a look at the PT Mr. Replay and see where exactly that came from. Hard to really say, though, because it looked like Tate had a pretty good drive off for a while, or a time or two, and then everything got flipped around. Here's a look at the replay. Looks like this happened right before. Actually, this was right when Taylor made that mistake. Look at that. Tate actually made a mistake as well. Williams getting a huge opening. And Paulson right on that rear bumper of Tate, trying to make a drive off on him, but couldn't quite get it to cut, clear, and spike it down the track. Now through the mayhem and now through the drives, Khan has now worked his way up through the field, got a little bit smarter, a little bit more clever. Has realized he is now on the verge of having to get through the field and having to take on some drivers. But of course, Christopher Tate, who's really had to drive off from his qualifying end, is now having to back his truck up and back up some corners a little bit more just to try to keep the tires from overextending out. Tim Williams will have that same problem here, but it looks like he's not having too much trouble keeping Derek Paulson behind him. Has a good size gap built up, about 0.7 of a second, but Paulson just right in the mix of it. There are two ways to win this race. Number one, fuel and tire strategies and just outlasting your opponents while also dealing with the mental wear and tear and the grind that is Pocono Raceway. Or number two, you need to find a way to literally just outrace your opponents. Sounds obvious, but the best way to get around it, again, is just make moves like Tim Williams did. Make that drive to the inside. Go for broke. Go for the hit. If you could take the shot and get the chance to go for it, why would you not? He knew it. That's why he went for it there, and he took a good chance at it. Garrett now back into the middle, into the crux. Drive off on the inside, and Taylor parks it on the outside there. Kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. And take a look at this as well. You look at our field of drivers today. A lot of Chevys have come to this Ford, come to the playing fields, but right now in your top three, it's a Chevy, Ford, and a Tundra, and a Toyota that have kind of mixed and matched it up a little bit. Oh, speaking of mixing and matching it up a little bit, right into the wall goes a 66 of John Garrett. And the dead parrot, Fort Worth screen printing 66 Silverado may have just had his race completely nudged and taken out of proportion. That is a huge hit there. He just survived. He just went on there, to say the least. We had our chopper cam on him when that happened. Here's another look at it. Cody Griffin here, you can see, had the drive and just a slight bit off. You can see Griffin was actually trying to back off and get Garrett to square up, but that was not the case. Garrett, with no room to go and no room for error, unfortunately finds himself trapped between a rock and a hard place, and the truck could not handle it. One more look at the replay. Yeah, once he got nudged, he could have saved it there if he didn't get the other hit, but unfortunately, once he took that other hit, that truck was done for. He's got a fast repair, and he used it well. Unfortunately, though, he'll have to go into a lap down scenario because of that hit he took. What a tough break there for the 66. Oh! And speaking of tough hit, Nicholas Akier, my word. The number 9 F-150 here just takes a jive into the back end wall of turn number 3. Took a huge hit there. A bit of a violent hit there. Unfortunately, thankfully he is okay, but You gotta wonder how much damage that do to the truck. I guarantee his airflow and aerodynamics are not gonna be well for the faint to the heart here. He's got a lot of room to work with, but he's got a lot of room to also get back, and he knows it too. That's a lot of time just wasted with a small little hit like that. Speaking of small hits or two here, how about this? The 5 Chantel Pottle here, taking a few good runs off and good hits back in the field. Looks like she has now moved the chains in, actually starting to get a little bit of speed kicked up. She holds the 7th spot, was 11th here for a little bit, then moved into 9th, then 8th, then 7th. But Eric Blount here going up on the inside, looking to try to take a drive off in the X-side machine. And the Tundra driver now bringing forth the speed, the momentum, looking to try to make the 5 lightning wraps, make her work for it just a little harder. Blount not able to make a clear cut pass though, wasn't quite able to get around her. Definitely a bit of a drive off and a half, and I think they both knew it. And that's why they're playing very close to the heart, very close to the strategy points. Michael E. Campbell, the 292 camp, also making a little bit of a drive back off into the distance here. You can see he's currently moving the chains on in, having a little run for himself. If you just see right there as well how much that push and that draft, can end up getting you that run to them, but also can make things a lot more difficult for you. That was another little blunder by another driver that was on the hard charger, on the hard throttle. But again, this isn't like a Daytona or Talladega where you can stay in the throttle and just turn in the truck and it'll be okay. No, with this place you actually have to lift and then set the truck back up. And in the tunnel turn especially, if you don't hit that mark just right, you're either lifting or you're going to that wall, and that also causes trouble, as you just saw a little bit with Cody Griffin and Gon T. Garrett. And you can see the damage there on the 803 pit stall Silverado here, taking some good little hit there, and that's gonna cause, that definitely is not what he wanted to see. Robert Kahn here, the 21, the Freightliner struggling a little bit, looks like. He's going to back off, and he loses a spot to the position of Christopher Tate. Tate now back into the fight. Pocono can be a little tricky, and it can definitely test some of these guys. They knew it too, so a few whips and a few hits, and now it is time to see who can actually hang on here. Kahn stuck on the bottom, Tate trying to drive it off the tunnel turn on the outside. Gets a great drive off then, and as well has some company coming to his door panel. John Garrett trying to keep his lap back, and he's not hanging around with it too long. He's not having any of it with these guys. He wants that lap back now. On one hand, I don't blame him. The other hand, I mean, as a driver, I hate seeing it when people get right up to me like that and they're a lap down, but at the same time, that's just the driver instinct. But as a broadcaster, you got to understand why they're doing it and why they're going for it. They have to. There's no other way around it. If they didn't do it, then it's going to end up costing them their race. And they know if that happens, then that's a lot of points gone. That's a lot of positions lost in the run and chances here. Coming through the corners here, or 3 corners I should say. There's no 4 corners here. What am I talking about? There are only 3 turns, and that's all you get. Tim Williams still in the BK Paints 45, dealing with the added pressure from the 66 while also trying to get to Derek Paulson. Garrett now has to get around Paulson, and I don't think Garrett really wants to drive like this. He's just kind of forced to if he wants to have any chance to stick with him. I think also maybe just as a driver's experience, I think maybe he might be still feeling a little bit of that hatred that he got just getting nudged out of the wall there a little earlier. I know as a driver, I absolutely cannot stand that. So I presume that he's probably more miffed about that and more kind of coincided to get that back on the track and back on the playing field. Great little coverage back here on the top side here. Eric Blount, Michael E. Campbell have now come forward to take down the Pottle, Chantel the throttle Pottle. The 292, Michael E. Campbell here, just jumping up a little higher. You can see him working through the burnt rubber section where the turn is actually indented with that rubber black markings from the trucks and the equipment. Eric Blount currently holding on to that 7th spot though, as you see Michael looking to get it from him and continue his destiny for a hard charger award. He's 7 spots up, qualified 15th. He's making it work right now, and he is doing a great job sticking with that power, sticking with that run. But you can see Blount as well, what he's up to. He's trying to literally cut it close, cut it deep. Marking them back down through the corners, and again, you can just see the endurance, the level of drive these guys and gals are facing up against. They know there is so much going on. There's so much at stake. Christopher Tate now even making a great fight back here. He gets around Tim Williams, the 45. Remember, it was Paulson earlier who was laying low. Now having to take the race lead away, though. He currently is in a bit of a rush to keep Tate behind him. Williams, almost taking Colin for a little ride there as we're nearing the 1/4 the mark of the way through. Colin looked like he didn't appreciate that one too much. Looked like he had it back to the left and then just trying to steer clear. I think he knew really there was a lot of area there that could have gone horribly wrong. May have heard from a spotter about Griffin and Garrett earlier, and that's why he probably wasn't too amused when Garrett kind of came right up to him there. But I think that just also shows you something too here, folks. How much fresher tires will do for you versus just being in that draft line. The fresher tires there of Garrett was actually able to just maneuver around Paulson, Tate, Williams, and Kahn like they were standing still. And really, it kind of goes that way because you literally have more grip and more run. And with that grip on the tire end, that allows you to end up swinging the turns out a lot faster and a lot better. Mix that draft up a little bit, then you got yourself a real recipe for craziness. Nicholas Akier now going to be the draft line here for Garrett Paulson. Be the first kind of spot for Paulson. He uses a little bit of a shield here, if you will, from the rest of the crew. Yeah, Race Design 17 though does get a slight block there. Gets crobbled around. Now trouble brewing. But Paulson trying to get to the inside of Akier and make a pass to keep Tate behind him. Tate, though, was looking for a shot in the dark. Almost had one on Paulson there, and he knew it, too. And he's got a drive coming off turn 3. Here we go. It's got that corner panel locked up. Here he goes. Tate with a good drive off. Getting out of the draft, though. He doesn't want Williams to get any more off him. Con right behind him. And now Christopher Tate. Qualified second. He's back in the lead. He's got the lead, but can he hang on? He's hanging on by a prayer and a needle there, that's for sure. Oh my word, Rakes fans. That was a great slingshot pass and a great overtake there, entering in through the front straightaway off of turn 3. Now, how long can he make it work and how long can he get it to go? On now. Oh my, he just got the entire door just thrown right at him. I've heard of throwing the book at somebody, but I don't think I've heard of throwing the door right into your face. Oh! And Con even with a little bit of an overdrive off turn 3. The Freightliner slams the wall protection and scrapes it up pretty badly there. And it looks like that might end up hurting him more than he realizes. I think that's what Williams was hoping for, was to get him a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit off his rocker, and that definitely did the trick there, I'll say. Screaming back into your living room right now. Paulson and Tate still back at each other's throats. No one giving an inch here. The rest of your field currently stretched out a little bit and sped out a little bit in the field. Jeffrey Todd Tubbs in the 72 right now. Currently one of them qualified 17th. He's up in the 12th spot. Just working off a fuel strategy and tire strategy, it appears. Dodd Poston, we saw earlier on the 6th, had a decent little qualifying time being in the top 10, but has not been able to recover since then. well aware of that, and he's just trying to hang in there. Cody Griffin's already in pit road now. Tim Lee and Robert Kahn have also entered in. Len McNeese, the 84 driver in the Western Auto Group machine right now, currently sitting well beyond the mark of limitation, but he is in 13th. And judging by the fact that a lot of guys are going into pit road right now, my guess is he's going to try to strategize a very, very long run. Now, I don't think he's going to get halfway into this race and then halfway off for that part. Not saying he could do it, but if you look at how everyone else drives and how everyone else has fared today, I mean, that's going to be a very tall order just to get perfectly set and worked around. Paulson kind of rearing back a little bit, ready to mark up on Tate. Tate currently still hanging in there. I honestly think right now the way that Tate was driving earlier versus how he's driving now is exactly what he was hoping for and exactly what he wanted to see. He didn't want to go in and really break the equipment. He didn't want to just try to go too crazy or too rampant. He was looking more towards an overall picture and overall drive from start to finish. And Paulson now has to admit defeat. Will go into pit road and give Tim Williams and Christopher Tate all the room and all the time they would like. Tate has got Williams cleared by about a second and a tenth right now. He's trying to close that gap off, but considering how these turns are and considering how treacherous it gets, easier said than done to actually lay down and actually perfect perfectly here. I think Williams knows very well. That's why he's currently just now trying to put in strategy mode and put in the endurance level mode. And Williams now will enter in pit road. He's going to have to call this one a pit stop. And a yellow flag. Wait a minute, is that as well? Hold on just a second. Looks like we got one in the wall protection down on the inside of turn 2. And it's Douglas R. Johnson. And I don't think that was what any of the guys that went into pit road were looking for or wanted to see. Because now that's going to really make things a little bit more difficult for him. Douglas R. Johnson in pit road, or excuse me, in the inside wall pit there. And it looks like tunnel turn number 2 ended up getting him for a little loop. Came off out of that turn. Looked like he was trying to bring it to the outside, and that didn't go well. Almost kind of the same area where he saw John Garrett struggling a little bit to keep his nose clean, keep himself out of trouble. So looks like the tunnel turn might be giving these guys some fits down there. We'll have to see how that fares later on. Yeah, you can see how much he was kind of maneuvering around, how much he was trying to stay on the throttle and on the pegs there, but did not quite go according to plan, and in turn makes things a little bit more difficult to have to work around. Well, those that went for a pit stop here now find themselves in a very, shall we say, tumultuous spot, because they had to go a lap down to get into pit road and then have to come back out. And now they find themselves literally behind the 8-ball when it comes to who can get where and who can get what. And depending on whatever Christopher Tate, Chantel Ball, Derek Paulson, and Robert Kahn do, that could make the difference here for them to get their lap back. Jeffrey Todd Tufts has taken off the track. He's back in pit road. Looks like he's calling it a day here. Now, Tate has not been in pit road, so I presume he's going in. Chantel Paddle, I would predict, is going in. Len McNeese as well. I know that the rest of the field, though, has been in pit road, so this will be interesting to see how everyone comes in, how everyone goes out. And it looks like Cody Griffin and the number 9 of Nicholas Acquier having a little bit of mind games out there with these cats. Robert Kahn is going to have his wish and have his way here for just a minute. He wants to have the race lead, and he's going to go up against Derek Paulson here on this restart. Rest of your field entering into pit road. We'll see what the 5 does here. It looks like slight damage on the right side. Gets that cleaned up and fixed, so that will help out with her cause. Tim Williams is back in pit road in the 45. Christopher Tate is in there as well. You see them on the top right of your screen, the 54. Taking some fuel, looks like, for Williams. Tate's going to take all 4 tires. And we'll pilot it back out on the track here. Since the bottle will beat him out. Dustin Franklin, Eric Blount, Len McNeese, John T. Garrett, Dodd Poston also will beat him out. Tate stuck in pit road still. Something not going right for that 54. Hold on just a minute here, folks. Might be serving a penalty in there. I'm not really sure, but there is something that has gone wrong with the 54, and now all of a sudden this race just got completely flipped on its head here. Oh my word. And still has yet to get out of pit row. They're not letting him out yet. What has happened to the number 54? This is an absolute shocker. You would not have expected someone of that kind of level to do this kind of mistake or this kind of area. If he did go speeding in pit road, that's going to be trouble. If he has an engine problem down there, that's going to be even worse for wear. Looks like he's got it fixed, though, and he's got the penalty off on him. So now he finds himself in a very, very tough little deal. The good news for him is he is on lead lap still, but getting through this pack of drivers is now going to be even much more difficult. Len McNeese and John Garrett are now going to head into pit road and settle themselves back out. Field ready to get back to the green here as we're going to turn the lights off on the pace car and settle them down for the 1 to go signal. Race fans, again today here, the race at Long Pond, Pennsylvania's Pocono Raceway for the Pit Stall Summer Series has been presented in part by our friends at Fort Worth Screen Printing. Be sure when you want to get your next designed up tees, merchandise, hats, and all the excessive needs you need, be sure to check them out at FortWorthScreenPrinting.com to get all your designs brought to life. A big thank you again to Fort Worth Screen Printing and everybody that has helped out with the show and the Summer Series. Also, a big thank you to the folks down at John T. Garrett Twitch channel here. Again, if you haven't already gone and subscribed there, be sure to check that out and check out all the latest info and all the stuff that he brings to the table. Some awesome stuff, to say the least. On down to turn number 3 here, the race fans. It is time. It is set to go. The action is now about to kick off once more here on Pete's Race TV. Back to the green, back to the action. We're back underway. And Con already trying to get people off that draft line of his. He doesn't want anything to do with them, but he knows they're coming for it. A little bit of trouble there off turn number 1. Whoa, hold on a second. Trouble again. We got 2 drivers spun around and crashed out here. What the heck happened there? I turned my head for a second, I was watching the leaders, and then I realized, wait a minute, where'd Dirk Paulson go? And now all of a sudden I think I might have realized what exactly went wrong there. This truck is no longer in the speed and position he was at, and I don't know what the heck that came from or where that started from, but we're about to look at the Pete Simmons replay. Oh, entered in turn number 1, got flipped up by the 45, Tim Williams, and everybody else trying to avoid him. Oh my goodness. John T. Garrett literally slamming the corner end of his truck there, and that ended up giving him a lot more damage than I think he was wanting for or looking for on that end. Looks like Chantel Potter was trying to avoid it as well when they went into that corner, so don't know how much damage she may have suffered. We'll take a look at that in just a minute as well. See if we see on the left side of your screen. Yeah, you can see Garrett trying to stop. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he had nowhere to go. Once he was right there, he knew he was in trouble. Well, one more look at it here, and we'll take a closer look from another camera angle here. This is the Throttle Paddles inside camera here. Well, she did take a little hit there, but looks like the truck stayed online, so doesn't appear that any damage really resulted on her end there. Might be a slight bit. Yeah, actually there's a slight bit of damage. Actually, here's the after effects of that little hit there, and she's already taken a instant repair, so we'll have to see if she decides to go in and try to get the damage perked out and kind of fixed up on her end. Well, we know one thing's for sure though, Derek Paulson might not be a happy camper after that one, so if I was one of the guys up on that race lead, I'd be real careful here. I don't think he's going to be too thrilled with them for that. He's entered back into pit road on lap 29, so he will be on the lead lap still. Won't lose that. But I don't think he's going to get ahead of the guys up ahead of him here. I think Christopher Tate, Michael Taylor will stay out here, so... But Tim Williams definitely, I think, probably is probably glad to be a little bit back behind the 8 ball here. Probably doesn't want anything to do with dealing with the other guys right now. Taking right sides on the right and on left sides on the left. Williams will get himself squared up with the field. So right now, top 5, Christopher Tate, Michael Taylor, Eric Blount, Robert Kahn, Dustin Franklin, all trying to just avoid the slam jams, the beating and banging that enters in turn number 1. I always thought that Watkins Glen's turn 1 or Indianapolis Road Course's turn 1 was probably the worst place to be stuck in when it comes to being in a pack. Well, I think we may need to add Pocono Raceway's turn 1 there with anything that is a 550 horsepower package or less added into that mix. Field has now resurgence and resurged. We have turned the lights off on the pace truck, and it looks like since they couldn't get it green to the end there for a lap, looks like they're going to have to go to a single file restart. Single file restart can mean a lot of different things here and can definitely make things a little bit more tricky and a little more difficult
Yeah, it probably already is for a lot of these drivers out here, but you know, for a crew like this right now, I have a feeling more than likely you're going to see a lot of guys kind of hooping and hollering just for to get any kind of level up or any kind of extra end off these corners here. You can already see Tate, he's already trying to get some extra hot air and pressurized temperature in that truck to avoid the hardship in the corner he's about to deal with here. I think maybe just trying to expect the worst for the worst. You're trying to give him the best of the best here. Just about halfway done with this race, though. Some names now kind of moving into the field as well. The Fort Worth Screen Printing 47, Dustin Franklin here, and there does Todd Poston in the number 6 Monster Java Juice. Both guys kind of staying into the back ends and the back run have now got a chance to actually take control of this race. We'll see if they can do so here indeed. As the green flies back on out, take the lights on and put them up. We're back at it here at Pocono. They're going to enter into that troublesome wide open turn number 1. And nearly double filing up again as they enter into the corners. Every driver looking for an extra little leg up or a little position off. Here comes a little bit of a charge from the big red, white, and blue up. 24, Tim Lee. The Ford F-150 camp is right now trying to march the pit stall Summer Series into full gear. Gone deep on the outside with Blount pushing him up a little bit. And the 9 there of Nicholas Akier, literally a lap down, being a little bit of a nuisance there to the other guys. Even Jeffrey Todd Tubbs kind of find himself in that same predicament. Akier on the outside, let's come on by. Franklin and them stuck in the middle of it. Akier almost gets right off at turn 3 into the 47, able to hold line. Good drive off there, but my word, that could have been disastrous. That could have been a nasty little hit. He knew it too. He stayed out of that. Knows he's got to keep staying out of these runs here. Oh, but he gets found himself stuck in there again. 3 wide off turn 1. Wow, Poston marching through the field. Now a drive off here from Kahn. Getting it right behind and ahead. Darrell Taylor. Jeffrey Todd Tubbs kind of fine lining Michael Taylor's run here. Todd Tubbs not giving him any room. Taylor now falls back more. Poston and Franklin now moving the chains on in. You got multiple drivers really going for the broke shot, going for the long run here, trying to enter into the corners here. Todd Tubbs, oh my word, just sent Poston farther back onto the front straightaway. Able to avoid trouble and able to avoid any issues there, but that could have been a gnarly little hit in a very dangerous circumstance there. Hard push there from Franklin there to Poston, trying to get up ahead of Todd Tubbs. Todd right now not making it easy for him. Might as well call him the Ryan Newman right now of this race because he's not letting anybody by him and he doesn't care what position he's in. Neither does the 0-3 Cody Griffin. Oh my word. Double trouble and a daily double. He's on the attack. And there goes Todd Tubbs into the 6th of Blount. Eric Blount slammed into pit road. Todd Tubbs literally just took that number 6 of the next side, Eric Blount, into the pit road end. Oh my word, that was a huge hit. Todd got nudged there by 1-6, and I think he was trying to steer it back in. But the way that truck steered in, that was definitely not the way you wanted to steer off. I don't know, maybe that was just a mistake on his end or what, but let's take a look at the replay that's on board. Well, he definitely could see who it was there. It looks like he's trying to avoid the wall off on corner 3. And instead, completely takes the other number 6 with him. Oh man, that is a tough break there for Eric Clown. And you know, you gotta wonder your mindset, you know, how much did Todd realize and know what was going on there? Probably couldn't really see too far ahead, or where was that in position? Robert Kahn has now put the 21 in the race lead. Cody Griffin trying to get up to him. About a second and a half difference between the two here. And Kahn knows if he can keep this up, he's got a chance to kind of keep these boys in play and in route. Dodpost now kind of moving the chains in a little bit and looking at the lap speeds and looking at the last lap pit stops here for some of these guys. I can see why a lot of them are fast as can be right now. Kahn went in on lap 30. Griffin's in at lap 20. Tate was in 26 and Williams is in 30. But again, these guys are laying back a lot here. So that makes me wonder, you know, how much of Kahn's lead is just going to get thrown out of me. Oh my word, look out. Almost a 4 wide slot off of turn number 1. Oh my goodness. Christopher Tate, Todd Poston, Dustin Franklin, and Tim Williams were literally inches away from going 4 wide off of turn 1. And then if you send that into the tunnel turn, it's hard enough to just go double file on a tunnel turn. I would not want to be any of these guys that they literally were in that same predicament. That was a huge move made by the drivers, and they knew it too. But a drive off and a drive and a half there to keep these things online. Franklin right now sees what he's up against here. Williams and Paulson battling each other's own little game plan, their own little subsection of turn and driving here. Each guy just doing their own thing, trying to clear the other. Kahn's got a huge lead built up. Griffin trying to hunt him down. Bad news is for Griffin is that lapse of fuel and tire that Kahn has against him can definitely play a huge factor and make things a lot more difficult to catch up with it. Tim Williams right now currently getting right up into the front and back into the field, right behind all of them here. A little bit of movement from Michael E. Campbell in 292 up to the 54 Christopher Tate. Tate shuffled back in through the run and back in through the drive after a pretty hectic little start there and a little battle off, and Campbell trying to get away from him, trying to get ahead of him, but it's not quite getting that opportunity, nor is he getting that drive off. I think a lot of that may be due to just the fact that there's a lot more pressure on the truck and a lot more airflow that's not getting directed straight to the spoiler camper nor the drive because of his rafting area. And then also how much he's overextended the turns, how much he's overdriven some of these corners and that as well. And that definitely plays a huge factor. Very much aware of that, and he's trying to keep it under control. Well, Griffin has marked down Kahn's run there by about a second and a fourth here. Instead of a second and a 6 or a half, he's now got to do a second and a fourth. May not seem like a lot to some fans out there, but believe me, that's quite a bit if you're getting that on Kahn. He's actually developing even more so of a run here. Look at this. Lap times do not lie, and currently there was a tenth, and then a 2,000th of a second, but Kahn entering in through turn number 1, he slowed down tremendously here. Griffin got a huge run there entering into turn number 1. Now I'm starting to question, is Kahn overdoing himself, and did he overdo it? Now marching through the field again, Michael E. Taylor, after going into that second and third spot respectively, gets shuffled back to the top 10 here. Jeffrey Todd Tufts, who has had quite a bit of a day here, that NVIDIA Silverado Chevrolet, finds himself once again back behind the 8 ball and into a corner, working his way around with the number 98 of Michael Taylor on the outside. Todd is a lap down. A little bit of a crisscross applesauce there from the tunnel turn, looks like. Franklin getting up ahead of Tim Williams in the 45, the BK Paint scheme. 45 of Tim Williams getting up ahead of Franklin. Franklin now looking to diverge back up ahead and get back on that draft so he has a chance to make a run for him. The way it's looking though, and the way things are starting to come forth, I think maybe it might be slowing down just a little bit. Speaking of slowing down just a little bit, I want to talk about that. This one might be a little bit of a head scratcher for Con, but he is now in trouble. He had a huge drive off earlier. Now his drafting, his speed is being put into question and being put into validity. Griffin is literally now marching to the tune of the Freightliners 21. If he's got a strategy in mind, he needs to start implementing it quickly because this is not working for him. That's not going to help him either. Overdrove turn 3. Griffin's now literally doglegging it right to him. Here comes a huge draft, looking for the slingshot. Griffin to the inside. Now the pass to be made at turn number 1. And just like that, Griffin taking the race lead away from the Rattlesnake. And now it's Griffin who tries to march his way ahead and get ahead of this field by a good margin of error. Con gonna dove right back in on that draft here, maybe trying to play out his usual strategy in games he's done before. Remember at Nashville Speedway, he did the same thing to Griffin. Just kind of let him think he was burning off, let him kind of swear it off a little bit. And when the time came, he just played possum with him and took it over from him. Well, I'd say right now, Con's not playing possum. He is actually wheeling this thing. He's got turn 1 and turn 2 pretty much locked. But Griffin has turn 3 dialed in, and that is what we talked about earlier. Can you figure out how to get 2 or 3 turns dialed in and perfected? You're not going to get all 3 of them set the way you want to. There's just no way. There's no possible opportunity or chance you can do that. Many have tried and many continue to fail at it. There's just no proper, no seasonable way of implementing it. Right now, dealing company there with the 292 Michael E. Campbell. Looks like that big 24-year-old red, white, and blued up scheme of the Pit Stall Summer Series driver is trying to keep up a leg up on these guys, trying to keep a leg up on that 292. The Ford versus the Silverado, and it appears the Ford might have a little bit of an advantage here due to the fact that front end of the nose is swooped in a little bit better and is actually getting a little bit more power under the hood. That have still tuned in with us on our Facebook or on our YouTube, and we cannot thank you guys enough for staying on to all these shows and come to these races. Thanks so much for your support, and if you are new to the channel, like and follow us up here on Facebook and subscribe on our YouTube end. We certainly appreciate it. Also check out our social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram, to get more of the latest info and coverage on our calls and on our races. Well, Michael E. Campbell at 292 has now moved the chains ahead of Tim Lee. Looks like Tim may have had to back off just a little bit more and give him some room there. Griffin right now, literally, oh my word, Colin. This is not looking good for you, buddy. Look at this amount of orange there. That is time delted to Con. He has lost a lot of time. and Griffin continues to keep the pressure and keep the momentum on the line. Down again, and Colin is trying to save the tires and is trying to insinuate that he is not actually in trouble or he's not actually hurt. Then this is not the place to do it, in my opinion. You need to keep the throttle up. You need to keep the momentum at an all-time high, because the thing is, this place just wears and tears the track and wears and tears the truck as much as it wears and tears your body up. It's just not worth trying to make that rest, trying to make that drive. Some drivers have literally come to claim and come to fame here from this track, but have been dealt a very, very bad hand here. We've seen it happen more often than not. That's why they call it the Tricky Triangle. Oh, Gotch flag is out as well here. Hold on a minute. Something gone wrong down on the track here. Caution is out here, and it looks like Nicholas Akier might be the resulting factor of that. The 9 has got damaged up on that machine. We're currently just kind of watching on the race leaders here for a minute, but something went wrong with the 9 camp. Let's take a look at Akier. DMF Racing Design 9 will bring us the PTMS replay here, and last time it was in the tunnel turn. This time looks like turn 3 gets him. Oh! Takes a nice little nudge there and a little hit. Looks like he was trying to slow down and get this thing on control and on pace, but when he crashed there, actually stopped the entire race dead in its tracks. Causing for the caution to come on out. And if you ask me, that's exactly what Cody Griffin did not want to see. I know he said earlier on he's not worried about race wins. He's not worried about trying to be the top dog. The only thing he was worried about was just getting in to the points race here and trying to keep his points lead and for Richmond. But I mean, if you ask me, I mean, there's always one thing I would love to do more than anything, and be in his shoes and try to knock down the rattlesnake here, because you know how difficult it is just to try to keep these guys up to task and up to challenge. With the pit stops now made, Khan will regain his lead there. Catches it right up ahead there. We'll take the 40. We'll take the 21 back into that top spot. Griffin will have to go one spot down below him. Tim Williams, Dustin Franklin, Derek Paulson, all now in that race run in that spot. Christopher Tate back in pit road. See if he can actually get in and out this time around. Chantel Pottle's already out. John Garrett's in, coming out of pit road, or actually it's just entered in. He's going to be coming out here in just a minute. Nicholas Acura, I don't believe is going to be coming out anytime soon, though, after that little hit there, unfortunately. And that's a shame there, man. It looked like he kind of just got a bad hand dealt to him. Got put on the lead lap for all of about maybe half a lap. Then got kind of shuffled into the pack with a bunch of other drivers, including Todd Tuss, who's also kind of struggling to get out of that mess. And then everything just went from bad to worse. So time has now come here, race fans. We have now squared everybody back in their position, back into their pace. Field is ready to start dripping and driving these things around once again. Set in motion, set on the drive. Every driver for themselves now set to go. As they come off the corners of turn number 2, down for turn number 3 here. Let's see what exactly happens, what exactly goes down. Griffin and Kahn, definitely the two favorites here when it comes to this last bit of a leg in the race and last bit of drive off, 30 laps left. Really, this could go either way between these boys, and they know it too. Sending it on their way here. You see our flagmen there on the bottom left screen in your corner. Watch for the flag to wave as they drive them hard onto the green. They'll rocket their way around the track and rocket their way in position here. Now the performances will be put in full strength and full gear here. Moving their way up ahead. Look at this. Dustin Franklin on the outside. Getting a good little burst of speed off there as now the Fort Worth screen printing machine has now moved its way into possible contention. Kahn falling further and further back, trying to save the truck, or he's trying to not burn up all his equipment out of the gate, but he's definitely getting thrown around, and it looks like he's off pace and tempo here. Michael Taylor getting ahead. Williams lets Kahn in, although I think I might have been a little bit reluctant to do that. It looks like he wants to get back in there, and even the 5 Del Bottle nudging her way around on the nose of the bottoms, kind of peeking that inside as she gets a little bit of tag there from Poston on the back bumper. Christopher Tate moving the 54 into the fray now. Here comes the big black greened up 54. Tate moving for the drive. Tate earlier on, you could have made the argument was probably the guy to beat, probably the guy to watch out for in the rest of this race, but that thing's got completely flipped on its head here. Now there really is absolutely nobody that is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be able to take this one home and take this one on by. Well, I don't think anything else about this, but Tate right now is not giving an answer. He's just laying this thing into the ground. He's hitting his corners right. He's hitting his corners well. He's going up for the boys up ahead. And speaking of the boys ahead, here we go now. Battle for the lead. Griffin this time is going to be defending off a 17 MM Racing design of Paulson. Might be starting to look at the fine line here and can't get timid. Rest of the field kind of coming through the pack, coming through the drive here, but it is right now Griffin and Paulson still your race leaders. Paulson looking for the inside spot. Griffin defends it on the outside run. May have to resort to giving him a little nudge, a little bit of a cleanup job there. As you saw what happened to Griffin and Garrett earlier, it may not be a smart move. It may actually be a little bit more of a harder challenge to deal with here. I question whether or not he'll actually be able to get it done and get it set in right. It's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of scenarios that can go horribly wrong. Now Tate, literally, this man is just doomed and just set to just go for it all here. The 54, fresh tires, fresh set, fresh drive, and look at this. Daily double, double trouble, don't count, whatever you want here. The 54 has sealed the deal, takes the lead, and Griffin into the wall, protection off 3. Now the momentum starts to share off to Paulson on the inside. Tate now will have to deal with the 17 coming for him here. Oh my word, race fans. That, my friends, is what you call literally no quit and no give. Tate, earlier on, snapped in the back. And now is going full send-off, looking for the drive and looking for the run. I mean, to be honest with you, I was not expecting that kind of speed, that kind of endurance right out of the gate. But you just never can be too sure, and you can never know what to expect until it absolutely happens. And he knew it too. That's why he was really laying it in quick and laying it in thin. Paulson's trying to get up to him there. Griffin's in trouble here. Got a lot of speed he lost there just by slamming that wall off of turn 3. And Michael Taylor using that to his advantage. Knows what he can set him up for. 23 laps left to go here in the Flex Seal number 98 as Michael Taylor looking to get all he can for what it's worth on Griffin. Tim Lee has entered into pit road, so will be the first of the drivers to go into pit road on the green flag run. The throttle shift El Paddle is now moving to Lightning Rounds 5 up into the fight here with Todd Poston in the 6. Oh! Well, that was definitely not quite what they were expecting though off that corner though. Oh my! Took a nice little ding in the right side fender there again, and the 5 Centel Paddle continuing to damage up some equipment. I don't know if Todd Poston may have just kind of slowed him up or got him a little bit out of control there. Didn't quite get that all on my end here. Looks like Poston is actually hurting a little bit in the 6. Losing some ground, losing some time, and the Tundra is in trouble as the Silverado comes on running in. Roaring back into place. Chantel now diving in quick, diving in deep. Tate and Paulson have entered in pit road. We have new leaders, Taylor. Michael Taylor and the 98 and that 03 Cody Griffin looking to go back at it once again. Griffin had a little bit of drive off there, had some speed under the hood. Poston and Paddle dealing with each other as well here. It is anybody's guess, anybody's ideals to who will be able to outmatch the other here. You listen to Todd Poston here, he's actually clutching the truck in. You may be wondering at home, why is he clutching the truck? Well, he's trying to actually kill the fuel line cells off so that way they don't go running into the engine and burn up more fuel. The more fuel you are using is because of how much you rev the engine, how much you rev the power on from the transmission. That in turn uses up more fuel line, more engine block. And once that engine block gets used up enough or so, that's when you start to really see the wear and tear of your laps fade away with the drive you can go ahead on. Remember, you need fuel to get around the track and you need fuel to run the race. Well, that's exactly what they're dealing with here. Speaking of dealing with right now, Tim Williams, the 45, moving ahead of the 292, Michael Lee Campbell again, and Tim once more. It's just going full on send mode, just trying to see if he can have a chance here. He could easily get a top 5 locked up here, but the points race will be even more difficult than he realizes, I bet you. And Michael Lee Campbell will have to go into pit road now, so that will settle him up for another position here and see where that goes from that way. Jeffrey Todd Tubbs just right up ahead of Tim Williams. We'll see if maybe he becomes to be a factor again here, as he was earlier on finding in a very troublesome issue there. Launching through the field now. It is really now tempering up for a long distance run and a long distance drive. This is where you see guys start to take what little time they have left, or take anything they can here on the playing field, and hope that they can keep the speeds up and keep the drive ahead of them. They know there's a lot left in the tanks. They know there's a lot left that they have on performance and on the playing field here. Christopher Tay and Derek Paulson looks like they may be trying to work together a little bit, with Len McNeese kind of being a little bit of the instigator to kind of help keep up with them, keep up with their position. But at the same time, I'm not seeing that full confident drive that we had saw and watched earlier on. Looks like he might be just kind of hanging loose, kind of laying low for now. But every time he enters into those turns, you can just hear how much that fuel run, that fuel cell, these guys are taking off of the engine blocks, taking off with the truck here. They do not want to burn up any more of the reserves they have left on the fuel. Cody Griffin here falling further and further back, and it looks like if these guys go into pit road now, they will have a chance to rocket towards for the race lead and the race win. But do they choose to? That is a bigger question. This is the first time we have seen Michael Taylor put into this spot and put into this chance here. He's got a full long distance drive ahead of him. He's got a full long run ahead of this corners here. Guys like Robert Kahn and Tim Lee have also kind of taken a little bit of a backseat drive here, which is surprising to me, because earlier on we saw everybody literally looking pretty good and pretty solid up on the front half, but now it has appeared the drive has all but left behind a solid foundation, a solid exit point. Thing is starting to get further and further dipped and down and dipped around here. Tim Williams and Michael E. Campbell, they have themselves a little bit of a battle ahead of them. One trying to figure out over the other who gets ahead of the driver in front of them, or who gets ahead of the one that's beside them. And Williams says, I'm not letting Campbell by that easily. Gets a good power off there, and now Moves the chains in again, but he is currently in that 12th spot. I don't think it's where he wanted to be at. Cody Griffin hoping for any kind of help, any kind of break here to get around Michael Taylor. Taylor is starting to slightly fade here. And Menard's Flex Seals 98 is in trouble. Here comes Griffin. Griffin now looking to put the pit stall. Summer Series 03 on the verge, on the march. Alone 5 of Chantel and Throttle Pod on the Lightning Rafts machine. Hanging back there with him. I think she's trying to give as much of a run as she can to get up there to these guys. Off that back stretch of turn 1, my word, look at this. Michael Taylor getting a great position off here. Gets a good power boost off that corner. Was able to hang on and keep Griffin behind him. Now sees an opportunity possibly to keep the momentum alive, keep the chains on in. 14 will turn to 13 laps left to go, and this is where you really start to just mentally check out, start to really figure, what am I gonna do? How long can I go? Taylor, it looks like his limit's gonna be now. Griffin will stay on out. And him and Pottle have been in pit road on lap 49 here. The rest of the camps here have either gone in on lap 58, 56, or 57. This is a very, very bold move by some of these drivers that went in that time, that position, because again, we have not really seen anything past the 20 lap limit. Obviously, Griffin and Pottle, I don't think are going to be able to last a full extra 20 laps or so. They definitely are not going to last the full 13 laps left to go, I can tell you that much. The only way they've been able to do that is if they literally just completely took the truck out, backed up all their speed, backed up all their fuel. They have got to get into pit road here sooner rather than later, in my opinion. But when will they choose to? I think Pottle right now, she's just timing whenever Griffin goes in and using him as a bit of a launching pad, a bit of a draft way. And honestly, I like the idea of it, and I like the strategy behind it, but again, with Todd posted so far behind him as well, that doesn't help matters at all. And then a 23-second gap only separating Tate and Paulson back behind those other drivers. The only way I'm really seeing Pottle and Griffin having any, or Poston having really any good chance once they come out of pit road to stay ahead of the curve and stay ahead of the issues, I think honestly may evolve around a caution flag. Tate right now trying to make light of his machine, trying to make light of his drive here. We talked earlier on, I think he said, you know, he was really worried about how that long run, how that tire fuel strategy was going to affect these guys and affect himself and extremely himself as well. Well, we now know and we now have a better understanding of it. It definitely did affect and it definitely did make things very, very tumultuous to get around. Some of their guys right now kind of taking out of a backseat spot here. John Garrett moved in back to the 6 here with Len McNeese about 3 seconds behind him. Dustin Franklin, though, his teammate in the 47 Fort Worth Spring Printing Silverado, dealing with some added pressure here coming up his way as Mr. Tim Williams, one of our lone Canadian drivers here, up with the 5 Chantel Pottle and Jeffrey Todd Tulson in 72. He currently right now is in a bit of a mixed shot and a mixed drive to get through the field and get back up into playing position. Huge drive off here, looking for the slingshot pass coming around. Williams looking for momentum, looking for a drive off, and Franklin not able to hold him back there. Good pass there by the number 45 Williams with a hard drive off and a great overtake into position. Over 2.5 seconds ahead of the race of the second spot here. Cody Griffin currently still staying out with 10 laps to go. Honestly, this is going to be a very, very tall order for him to get around. Remember, he's got to get 31 laps of fuel. And with that truck, if he goes the full distance, again, we have not seen anybody Big A passing more than 20, and it looks like he's got admitted defeat right now. Pottle gonna try to follow right behind him. If they can time the fuel just right, they might have a chance. But again, with those tires, you know, will they have enough speed to hold back if Paulson and Tate come around? We're about to find out. Griffin and Pottle are now entering in pit road. Watch on the right side of your screen. Poston will jump ahead. Tate and Paulson coming right up beside him. There they go as well. Griffin hurrying out. Pottle is still in there. Will Chantal get out of there quickly? She's still stuck in pit road. Maybe taking more fuel than I think she was hoping for. And now she's going to get out, but she's already behind. She lost about a full track length here. Maybe about half a track now on that edge. That's a lot of ground lost there, unfortunately. And she knows that Tate and Paulson, they're left all alone. And remember, they were in pit road at lap number 58. They're taking a very, very bold strategy and a bold risk with 22 laps of fuel they needed to reserve and they needed to use. Did they time it just right? We are certainly just about to find out here. Todd Postno is your race leader. And Poston, mind you again, was in lap 49 for pit stops. I think he's going to try to seriously go the distance. But I don't see it working out for him because Tate and Paulson are on fresher sets as well. And they have also the fuel run they can use up against him here. And that makes the difference. That makes things a lot more tricky. No pun intended there. 8 laps left. This is where the endurance side of the racing comes in. Who made the mistakes? Who made the right calls? Who made the right decisions? Cody Griffin's already now back up at these boys. Back up at the guys here. Michael Taylor trying to hang on. Robert Kahn looking to get ahead of both of them here. Here comes Kahn on the inside again. And Kahn, just like that, the Freightliner 21. Marching to the beat of his own drum. Dancing to the tune of his own design. Manages to make his way through and get ahead of Griffin again, and Griffin has just been dealing with most of that pressure from Kahn all day long. They've been really trying to hold back the overall feeling and overall emotions he's been struggling with, I feel, because that honestly has been what has been giving Kahn the advantage on some of these guys. Knows how to mentally wear and tear on the track as much as he knows how to mentally wear and tear with some other guys out here. Gap changed to about 2.5 seconds right now. The draft is going to be starting to be put into effect. Poston is doing every possible thing he can to get that fuel run to last. I just don't see it going any better than this. Poston is in trouble. And the Monster Java Juice 6 is now going to have to deal with the fact on the cards is Tate and Paulson are right on his bumper. Here Poston literally just getting off the gas and back into the clutching run there as he came off of that entry into the turn. As he came off the turn though, he was back on the gas quickly and back on the throttle, just trying to hope for a little bit of a chance here. Paulson and Tate don't need to try to overdrive themselves right now. They don't need to do anything too crazy. As long as they stay in that draft, they'll get up to Poston and then they can figure out what they want to do from there. It appears Paulson may be slightly backing off just a little bit. Might be ready to set Tate up for a pass here. Poston driving it wide off of turn 3. He's trying to get the draft away here from Tate and Paulson, but it's not to be. Now comes the troublesome move to make the pass for the inside. Tate to the inside, and now the drive to survive continues on. Tate has got the lead from Poston. Poston way up wide, almost into the wall protection. We've got 5 laps to go. Oh, how things can flip and around on you in a heartbeat. And everybody well aware of that. Paulson, remember earlier on, he got crashed out, wrecked up, and flipped up around this place. Now literally marching back into this, fighting back into this fray. Looks like Chantel Bottle now looking to use the equipment to her advantage here. Is going to put the 5 back into a run, back into speed. She currently looks like she took a little bit of fuel, but also took a fresh set of tires down on that track when she was in pit road. And she's using every bit of it right now. Gets ahead of Tim Williams and now gets it ahead of Todd Tufts. Williams was a lap down. Right now, not anymore. Brody Griffin is still about 4 seconds back of the field. Tim trying to get right behind Pottle and trying to make a drive for her. Christopher Tate, though, with only 4 left, he's got a huge gap gained on Paulson. Paulson knows this is not looking good. Robert Kahn, John Garrett, Cody Griffin now 5th, 6th, 7th respectively in this fight. How about Garrett, man? We haven't really forgot about him, but he's been kind of laying low in the shadows for a little while. He was literally in dead last a little while back after a huge collision with the man that is right behind him there in turn 2 of the tunnel turn. The Dead Parrot Ford screen printing trying to go up against that 03 pit stall camp machine as well. With 3 to go now, it is going to be anybody's guess, but by a tire, that was definitely Griffin. And the more they keep battling, the more they're just giving an opportunity for this 5 to catch up to both of them. Speed's awfully hard on the charge, awfully hard on the run here. Every driver for themselves trying to get back into this. Griffin just barely eking out Garrett there by a little bit, maybe having a slight advantage. Garrett kind of hamstrung between himself as well. And take a look at our lap times here. You can see the 6th and 5th spots respectively are currently not exactly holding back a freshly set it up number 5. Bottle getting a much better corner off, and she's now closed the gap up by another 1/10 of a second, almost a full second there on the boys. 2 laps to go. The battle for 5th is going to reign supreme here. Khan is starting to fade out a little bit. Griffin giving him some opening, giving him some room. Tate right now starting to build another second on the leader of Paulson here. Maybe getting a bit further up on his end. Knows if he could just hang on, he's got this one locked up. Bottle starting to clear the gap off once more, but before we can finish out that talk, here comes the white flag now onto the show. Christopher Tate, the number 54 driver, has now taken this one fully into the palm of his hands. Earlier on, fell back, lost time, and then got messed up on the pit road side of things. Now the 54 is just a 2 set of turns away from flipping this race on its head. John Garrett gets cornered off there by the 5 of Chantel. And Pottle end up taking a few little hits there on that rough front wheel. Did that slow her down too much? That didn't seem to phase her too much there around Garrett. Garrett gives her the run. Griffin's going to escape around with the top 5 here, but off of turn number 3, the final turn, Christopher Tate will find himself in the best of positions and the biggest win of his career today. He wins at Pocono Raceway. The 54 is victorious. And Derek Paulson settles for a 2nd place spot on the pedestal and on the drive. Michael Taylor, with one of his best performances to date, will go 3rd. An impressive display of raw power and raw racing here today at Pocono Raceway between all drivers involved. But for Christopher Tate, this one was exactly what the doctor ordered and what y'all wanted to see the 54 bring to the table. A United States Marine in his own right, he shows the mental willpower and advantage he can gain from that time. He went from serving his country and now serves himself well on the purpose of a victory here today. What a performance. What a drive and a half here, and he's going to bring it right around to us here on the front straightaway. The fans are on their feet, ready to root on the 54. They want to see it. How about a long, stretched out burnout? I think it's safe to say I think he's a pretty happy camper down there. All right, race fans, here is your final results now up on the end here. Let's take a look at them here as we conclude this race out. Christopher Tate, the drive to survive and the drive to finish out, holds himself accountable and gets himself the victory here on P3's TV. He'll win it out with Derek Paulson going second. Michael Taylor with a great finish in third. Robert Kahn going fourth. Cody Griffin gets a fifth spot. Shenta Bottle with a hard drive to sixth. John Garrett, seventh here after his troublesome issues, manages to hang in there. Tim Williams, a great ending there for him as well. Dustin Franklin holds a top 10 performance once more. And Michael E. Campbell with a great solid performance holds in the top 10 to round out our drivers lineup here today. There is about one last thing remaining to do here on P3's TV. Let's talk it over with the drivers and listen in to all guys and gals in the chat here. Right now, Michael Campbell here, or Michael Taylor, excuse me. I don't have him registered on our end just yet. We'll have to wait and see if he is going to join us here on the show. So we'll give him a second there. Derek Paulson, though, is going to be our second place finisher today. And he is now actually with us right now on the camp and on the talk. So he has joined us here in his Ford F-150, ladies and gentlemen, the number 17, Derek Paulson, coming away with a second place finish today at Pocono. And Paulson, congratulations on that second place. And it seemed like you and Tate might have had some communications and might have had some extra drive in between with you two as you two work together solid as can be to get the draft going and hang on for the end of this one.
Yeah, that actually kind of maybe hurt me a little bit. I decided to stay behind him. Excuse me. Instead of race him. And, you know, when you're behind someone like that for so long, you're tight and it takes a lot to turn. And, you know, I burned up my stuff. And then the lap car of the 72 there got me in the tunnel turn. So I had no chance of catching him after that. But, you know, solid P2. Was hoping to get away with a clean race, but we had that little issue there in turn one. But all in all, it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I had that issue in turn one, but once you kind of got out of that mess and then started to get things figured out a little bit later on in the race, I mean, how much trouble did you really kind of find yourself in, really to get yourself more around on the track, much less trying to make those passes when you could see them?
Yep. Yeah. Actually, it's extremely hard to pass here with this setup. Setup's tight as well. We're racing on a cool track, so it's a little bit tighter than what you may normally be racing on. But yeah, like I said, I think all in all it was a pretty good race. We had a couple of, kind of crazy incidents that caused cautions, but excuse me. But all in all, yeah, it was a pretty good race.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless, Paulson, though, man, as you come away here, a second place finish today and a hard drive to the end, who do you want to thank you for this one?
I got to thank you there up in the booth, and I got to thank the admins, and sorry I got allergies, and I got to thank MF Racing Designs. I got to thank Nick, he was out there with me today with MFRD, and yeah, I got to just thank the guys for showing up again. We've been keeping good numbers, and hopefully we continue up and continue putting on a good show for you.
For sure there. All right, well, Paulson, as you come away second place today here, my friend, congratulations on that, and we hope to see you next time out here, sir.
Yep, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Paulson will come away as a second place driver today, but the man that stands above all else, stands on the top of the podium, Christopher Tate will bring the 54 into victory lane, and Christopher, congratulations on this win here, sir, and congratulations on a long, hard drive. You truly have lived up to the drive to survive mentality. This one was an absolute beaten and bang kind of run on tires and the equipment, but not so much on the driver's end, which, I mean, I gotta believe that probably helped play in your favor today, didn't it?
Yeah, the race was good. I think we only had like 2 cautions. If we would have went probably about 10 more laps, then my strategy would have probably been out the window, and I probably would have been a lap down. But it was a great race with Derek. I thought he had the better truck at the very end there, and then I don't really know what happened, but I started pulling away and was able to gap him to the finish. So good race by him. Good race by everybody in the race. Tires were pretty much gone after that, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was enjoyable indeed. It was great to see you kind of make a little bit of a statement there. I know the pit stops as well. They had made things a very interesting little dilemma and timing shoot for you there. I mean, if it didn't come down to the cautions and you were able to just race it out, do you still think this would have been your chance to take home a victory?
It's tough to say. Uh, I was planning on kind of staying on our first set of tires until like lap 50, so I was gonna fall back regardless, and then just whatever the others decided to do after that was gonna kind of play out however the race is finished. But yeah, it was definitely nice to finally get a win in this league. It's been pretty tough, to be honest. It's tough competition. It's always fun, and looking forward to the next one.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Tate, nevertheless, though, definitely a long time coming, and indeed, as you said, you're getting that win that you've been looking so much for. With that in mind, who do you want to thank you for all this?
I want to thank 3F Racing first of all. We've got some big stuff in the works. Grip Marketing. Thank you for broadcasting it. Thank everyone in the league, Tim, for letting me in, and that about does it.
For sure there. All right, Tate. Well, nevertheless, man, congratulations on this race win. A very big victory indeed for you and this crew.
All right, thank you.
Christopher Tate, ladies and gentlemen, the winner here today at Pocono Raceway, comes away and climbs out with a win and a chance to really showcase some of that talent, that speed he had at full tilt today. Well, race fans, that's all really but going to conclude it here for the Pit Stall Summer Series and the Fort Worth Screen Printing Summer Series race here, presented in part by them and Fort Worth Screen Printing. Thanks so much for them for tuning on in and helping support the show. And, you know, looking at this one, look at the positions of finishers, I think we've just continuously and just can't somehow find a way to stay out of this mess. But there was always seemingly just a tight little spot, a tight little deal that seems to just change everything out. And when things get a little tricky on the track, then it just becomes a very unique circumstance and a very unique little area to work around. So, I mean, with that said in mind, how far and how crazy do things go and do they get on the long-term habits and on the long-term run here? It's hard to really say, but I mean, at the end of the day, we saw a lot of chumping and we saw a lot of changes and a lot of guys and gals even too literally make that final ditch effort, that final ditch pass to just make strategies work when they need to. And I think that kind of lives up to the reputation that is Pocono Raceway. It truly is an endurance race, and it just lasts out for as long as it needs to be. So with that in mind, race fans, that's really all I got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning on to these shows and coming out to the track. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. So with that in mind, I say thank you. God bless you all. Tomorrow night, the Misfits iRacing League's back in action. Stay tuned for them and see what happens there. But for now, be safe. God bless. Take care. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.